Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
Thank you, Alec Webb, and welcome everyone to MotorWeek podcast number 152. Sitting in Studio C at MotorWeek headquarters today is writer-producer Brian Robinson.
Hello, John.
Road test producer Ben Davis.
I'm pumped.
You really don't sound pumped. Assistant producer Greg Carlos.
Hey.
And online content coordinator, gosh, I don't think I can say that fast, Patrick Lucas.
All right, we can change that.
And Patrick is also the producer of our podcast, and he's put together a lightning round of viewer questions. We'll see if anybody has a rant and rave after the Thanksgiving holiday. But first, let's run down some of the cars we've been testing in Motor Week lately, starting with the long-awaited, finally here, and frankly pretty amazing 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia. Ben, you are up close and personal the most. Give us the lowdown.
Yes, sir. I had a chance to drive all the trim models. I was on track in Quadrifoglio. And in race mode, it is got an extremely direct steering. Amazing. Very, very strong at center. And that also dampens your, it also beefs up your suspension and more boost and all that stuff. But 2.9 Ferrari-derived V6, what that means is it's pretty much the same engine team that built the 3.9 V8 that was in the California.
Let's get down to it. 505 horsepower?
505 horsepower.
Does it feel like it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
All right, everybody's saying, is it an M3? What is it compared to? But does that really matter?
Well, that's interesting because Brian and I brought this up. They do compare it to the M3 and the ATS-V and all that stuff, but Brian and they consider it a mid-size car, but those M3, ATS-V, they're not considered mid-size cars.
They're big cars.
Well, they're considered compacts.
Yeah, but they're big for their size.
Right, but so this is a weird category because it's a mid-size car, so it should be going up against an M5, but it isn't.
Yeah, to me they should be comparing it to an M5, but they seem to be comparing it. Everyone else seems to be comparing it to an M3 as well. But.
Yeah,
and
I guess I didn't really think
well.
about it that way because it's smaller than an M5, isn't it? At least I've seen it like every single auto show.
It's smaller than an M5, but I guess technically it's bigger than an M3.
The interior volume is bigger than M3,
but it's
bigger
smaller
than ATS-V.
M5.
But it comes in at 100 cubic feet, and M5 is 104.
Okay,
so it's
I think it beats all of those as far as appearance.
It's awesome, and the fact that it definitely brings back you could argue that BMW kind of loses the driving experience. There's just so much gadgetry in these performance cars these days that Alfa doesn't seem to be taking it in that direction. You can control what you need to control, and it's very simple, very user-friendly, but it's also clean in that elegant, high-performance kind of way. I mean, you have your DNA Pro, where you've got the DNA settings that we're all familiar with, dynamic and natural, but you also have a race setting, and that takes care of all your performance setups and everything. Everything's clean. And in that aspect, that brings back a more driver-focused experience that haven't seen in the German competition for a while.
Well, on that note, when they originally started talking about it, they said it was going to be manual only, the Quadrifoglio.
Yeah.
Now it's
8-speed
automatic only, not even a manual available. Is that
not? Well, they stress yet anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, that seems to be a bummer for a lot of people.
That 8-speed, is that their own or is that the ZF?
That is a good question. I don't remember offhand, and I tried to research that because I know
probably Fiat's own, since they make the one that Chrysler's using and everyone else is using. But I'm guessing. I really don't know.
Yeah, I thought I saw some literature to the fact that FCA does use the ZF as well, 8-speed and some stuff. So I don't know.
Well, they do in some. Yeah.
Yeah, the original Ram and all that had ZF, but it makes no mention in their spec sheet today
about who has it.
It does say that it's all new, though, right? The transmission?
No, they just say 8-speed automatic. It doesn't say anything. Didn't give you any specs about it.
That's cool. I thought I saw a couple breaths saying that it was an all-new trans.
Could be.
What about
we'll research it and put it in a footnote on the video, so watch the video.
Lesser models. There's four-cylinder, two other trims with 4 cylinders.
Yeah, it's a 2-liter turbo.
The ubiquitous European 2-liter.
280 horse. And all the Giulias will have near 50-50 weight balance. Carbon fiber drive shafts in all models. Same 8-speed automatic as well. In this one, though, you can get all-wheel drive, which works great. You can put 60...
Important for Northeast.
Yeah, 60% of the torque up front. I drove the TI model, which had the best sport mode. They call it dynamic, but you could leave it in there all day long. I mean, I drive like an old man, but I found myself really subconsciously carving roads in this thing, which I never do because I'm old. The thing felt great. I had the Q2 model, which gives you a mechanical limited slip in the rear. And you can get a Q4, which is all-wheel drive, and it still has that mechanical diff. And I thought it was just awesome. It's going to be strong competition for A4, base A4, base 3 Series.
That was going to be my question. So we talked about the Quadrifoglio a lot, and it's from what you've told me and everybody, it sounds like that's the emotion that we've been looking for as people who've driven M3s, M5s, and everything. Like every report that we give is like kind of soulless and emotionless. Right. So that said for the Quadrifoglio, now with the lesser ones, I mean, do you really think, do they have like that same kind of carryover emotion there? Like what's going to be the selling point for somebody who's looking in that category? But
let me boil it down. If you drove a base 3 Series and you drove a base Giulia, what do you think the biggest difference would be as far as driving experience?
The subtle driver inputs like throttle response and steering response.
So there is more feel to the steering, you think?
Definitely more feel to the steering. Not having driven them back-to-back, but from what I can remember, there is. And a crisper throttle response, which basically, I mean, with steering feel and throttle.
Are people going to buy this thing? I mean,
that's a good question. I mean, how many times?
It's going to be a specialized taste.
I think just because it's a different take on premium midsize or premium, alternative to 3 or A4, maybe.
I think anybody that cares about driving might be interested into it, but your average person that just is going after a mark, they're going to stick with the BMW. But frankly, think of it this way. You have a chance to drive in any Alfa Romeo, basically something that's almost as rare as a full-blown exotic for a fraction of the price. And it has the same pedigree. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the 4Cs, and you think about it, even if you want one new for $65,000 or whatever the price is, you're getting a car that's as rare as hen's teeth and has an awful lot of heritage to it.
I never see those things around. Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome cars. Most dealers have one. And it tends to be white.
Yeah, that car is full carbon monocoque. For the money, it's insane.
All right, we could probably sit here and talk about the return of Alfa to the U.S. all day, but we're going to move along to a car that basically is probably more in the price class of an awful lot of you out there, and a very good choice probably, the 2016 Nissan Sentra. It's gotten a full, a quite comprehensive facelift for 16. We had it in here amongst a lot of other vehicles, but I remember looking at it and saying, okay, you've got a lot of cars in this class. You've got Civic, you've got Corolla. A lot of the Nissan products, sedans, seem to get lost when in comparisons, but they sell so well, and everybody seems very happy with them. And this looks like another case for that point.
Yeah, if you're looking for a really inexpensive car with a lot of space in it, you could do worse, that's for sure.
Amazing amount of room on the inside.
Yeah,
really.
The big changes for 16, they spruced up the outside a little bit, gave it the V-Motion grille, and they retuned the whole chassis so it drives a lot sportier than it used to.
And the interior, they gave it the ultimate style of instrument cluster. So really, if you popped in and out of the bigger four-door, you wouldn't notice much difference. Anybody remember about actual driving experience? I remember it as solid, not exciting, but comfortable.
Yeah, it kind of falls in line in that class of vehicles where we probably talk similarly about a Corolla, where it does everything better than it has to, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it does everything you need. It looks good, and I remember the seats being really comfortable. So in that aspect, it's an extremely solid car, and if you just want to get away from get away from that Corolla, then definitely a good option.
You can get Nissan surround view camera.
Absolutely, which is a huge.
That's a huge selling
I think we kind of forget about how useful that is, especially if you live in a city. If you're parallel parking and you have a 360-degree camera, it is extremely useful.
Yeah, I think this one is more the luxury kind of, like you said, feature technology-packed one, whereas the Civic and the Corolla have gotten really focused on style, I think. And this one is sort of more focused on substance, which when you're spending, we don't have a lot of money to spend. You want substance sometimes over style. So I think this is probably where people would definitely see the value over a Civic or a Corolla.
Good value and a large compact, the
Thanks,
Nissan
guys.
Sentra. That was well done. Let's move on to a car that's actually a competitor for the Giulia that we started off the show, and that's the 2017 Audi A4. I remember when I opened the door and got in, I just said, wow, they just do the best, and Audi does the best interiors out there. I don't think anybody else can hold a candle to them. But what about the rest of the car?
I got my 09 A4. And I was just sort of getting over being in love with Audis, especially the A4. And I was, every time we get a 3 Series in, or like we had the ATS or something, I thought these are all really strong, solid competition. Maybe if I had to do that again, maybe I wouldn't get an A4. But then this one came in, and the styling was a little sharper than my generation, but the interior, is just amazing. And I don't even necessarily mind the 2-liter turbo i4. I used to hate it, but it works really well. It drives really well. It's really comfortable. A lot of technology, and I think it's super.
And that shows a lot about the competition a newcomer like the Giulia is up against.
Yeah. Yep. It seems like they glanced over the exterior. If you look at a 16 compared to a 17, you won't notice a ton different. But yeah, like you said, jumping in, that's where all the changes kind of come to. And my question is how much is the virtual cockpit as an add-on? I assume you have to go to a technology package, but that thing is all. I mean,
it's awesome.
That to me is what separates it from the previous gen. But how much more do you have to spend to get that? I mean, if you can't afford that, are you getting much? Are you still getting that same effect that we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's standard on the highest trim level.
Right.
In the middle trim level, you can add it. And it's part of an overall technology package. I want to say it's like $2,000, maybe a little less than that.
I think our tester was probably top of the line, but that was like in the mid 50s.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Which is about what we see when we see that size of car from a German car company or for that European come in.
Yeah, but if you have that option and you're thinking about it, I would certainly.
It's worth the money.
Yeah, it is great.
And most Audi buyers and most buyers in this class lease their vehicles anyway. So, I'm not sure how much more it is a month, but it's probably more affordable that way. Okay, so kudos for A4, Sentra, and Giulia. And we're going to move on now to our lightning round where our panelists have 2 minutes to debate a trending automotive topic. When time's up, Patrick's going to hit the bell, and we'll probably stop at some point. Okay, article that was flying around this week talking about how General Motors has been delaying bringing out their version of autonomous driving. It's called SuperCruis. They've talked about it for a couple of years.
That's a cool name.
They've been worried about the same kind of safety issues that have dogged Tesla. There was a letter that was sent from the feds to GM basically saying we've got some concerns over some of the systems in it. We think it'll work, but have you made sure that you've addressed all the possibilities of this going wrong? And the gist of it is, unlike other systems where you have to keep your hands on the wheel now or the system will default to alt, this system uses eye recognition and some other sensors to tell whether or not you are paying attention or whether you're dozing off or you've crawled into the back seat, whatever. And at that point, it will give you a warning and eventually bring you to a stop on the side of the road. What do we gain, I guess? Are we ready for this kind of stuff? We've already seen that they don't work as advertised. Our own comments have been you have to spend more time worrying about the systems, doing something crazy, and so it's not relaxing at all. Any update on your thoughts about these semi-autonomous systems and whether something like SuperCruis should even come to market?
Well, the fact that it doesn't work when you're not paying attention kind of defeats the purpose for me. I would like to not pay attention and have it drive for me. That would be the only purpose I see in it. If I'm going to be paying attention, I might as well be doing the driving as well. So it seems kind of pointless at that point.
Well, all of them do. I mean, at this point, you have to hang
that.
your hands on the steering wheel.
I never really thought this much into it until you literally just bring it up. So the SuperCruis system, right, when you don't respond to the verbal and the audible and the
it will slow you
word
down and eventually
so if
stop
you're in traffic, it'll try and get to the side of the road, from what I understand. But if it can, it'll just stop you in the middle of the road.
No, I don't think it'll stop you in the middle of the road. I think it'll get you off the road.
Okay.
Either way, I understand.
It's still kind of dangerous. But then you think, okay, well, why doesn't it just stop working? Well, that's also dangerous because you're obviously not paying attention. So I didn't really think about it that way. And maybe we're just like really trying to push it when we shouldn't be, instead of just developing and waiting till we're absolutely ready.
I agree, because you had stuff like this where it'll threaten to like stop you. I think the Mercedes Drive Pilot does that too.
Right,
if you stop responding, it'll slow you
does
down.
the Volvo system.
And then we had the 7 Series, which has a pretty robust semi-autonomous system. But I think we brought it up earlier. It's that in itself is so distracting, trying to drive autonomously, because you are hovering your hands over the wheel, you're hovering your feet over the brake pedal in case the system just suddenly decides to stop working. And then when you're doing all that, you're not paying attention to your blind spots, what's in front of you, what's going on around you. So it takes away certain distractions, but then it brings on new distractions.
I wonder if these are just right now like, hey, I've got a semi-autonomous car.
Cool party trip.
It's a new pony, and if I'm on an interstate at 70 miles an hour and not in a particular hurry, it'll do just fine if it's straight and there's not a lot of traffic, and asterisk and asterisk and another asterisk. I know. Good luck to General Motors. We can't wait to try SuperCruis, but we're just not sure if any of this stuff is ready for prime time.
SuperCruis. I can't get over that name.
That's a super name.
It's a good name.
I hope it comes to market soon, just for the name.
Well, it was supposed to be out on the 16 Cadillac CTS. That didn't happen. Now it's supposed to come out after the first of the year. Okay. Our video editor, Ron Hahn, who is not in the studio
today. Why isn't he in here asking this question?
He should be on,
you should
on
grab the
microphone
mic.
and camera.
Ronald.
I can't do a Ron. Anybody do a Ron impression?
Sure, Ben can.
If you can, read the. Ron is a very good editor who's very quiet spoken, and I don't think I can turn my voice down that low on volume. Okay, Ron says, my wife and I both have a very short daily commute. It's a long one. All back roads. We're located about 3 miles from major shopping centers, grocery stores. I like the idea of having a full electric or a hybrid PHEV. However, the past winter hit us pretty hard on the East Coast. Her Honda Fit, as well as his front-wheel drive Buick Encore, were unable to travel steep hills of their driveway. Is there any affordable all-wheel drive plug-in option available, one coming down the pipeline under $35K, before or after incentives? The short answer about PHEV is no. The long answer is you've got the next best thing. You've got two very, very affordable hybrid all-wheel drive vehicles, and I say affordable, under $30,000. The RAV4 from Toyota, which all-wheel drive is standard, and that's been out for a while now. And also the new freshened Nissan Rogue hybrid, which will come in both front and all-wheel drive. Both of them start under $30,000, a couple grand under 30. Can anyone think of anything else?
Just buy some winter tires or move. That's my suggestion.
Yeah.
That is a probably less expensive
I had to
alternative.
cut down a lot of this question, but he did mention something about should I just buy winter tires or
That's
probably on a plug-in.
No,
on what he's got right now.
Yeah.
He's got all-weather tires, or he's got. Well,
in the Encore, I'm sure he's got those low-profile all seasons that are.
And he's got a Honda Fit's got really hard mileage tires, so neither one of those are worth a darn.
And
when
even
it comes
if
to
you're
snow.
going the RAV4 hybrid, that thing's probably got 17-inch wheels with low-profile tires too. That's not going to do that much better in snow, even with all-wheel drive. So.
Is the Rogue hybrid a mild hybrid, or is that like a full plug-in?
It's not a plug-in. It's a full hybrid like a Prius, like the Toyota RAV4.
Like you get like 20 miles of EV range.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the mile per gallon is, but it's a direct competitor to the RAV4, which basically has the Prius.
Write this down, Ron.
Or just shovel the driveway.
There's a front-wheel drive Ford, a C-Max Energy. That's a plug-in hybrid.
That is a plug-in hybrid, but it's front-wheel drive only.
Yeah, it's almost a crossover.
Yeah. But let's transition this real quickly, since it's the time of year, to talk about winter tires, not snow tires, winter tires. I think they make sense on everything if you're going to be out in snow. Well, I don't care whether you've got a 2 or 4-wheel drive. Any comments? I mean,
you're just talking all seasons?
No, almost everything's got all-season tires, and if it doesn't, it's got something even worse for snow, which is performance tires. What about in our area, which is mid-Atlantic, and we get, a half a dozen decent snowfalls? What about winter tires for someplace other than the upper Midwest or the Northeast? Does it make sense?
I was just on I went on a trip to see Tire Rack's facility, and I was there with Michelin was there too, and they were showing off all their winter tires and stuff like the people don't think about. Like tire compound alone makes a huge difference. Let alone all the tread patterns and like tread depth and stuff like that. Just winter tire compound itself is way better at stopping on pavement or surfaces than all seasons. Way better. So
even on a road with no snow, just cold pavement, they're going to do a lot better. I go back and forth about it myself every year, but unless we have a really bad winter, I don't really see need for it here in our area. There have been times when it might have come in handy, but generally we get like 2 or 3 days where you would really need something like that.
Otherwise, you need to stay home.
Yeah, otherwise.
Unless you're really concerned about safety and you have to be on the road. I'm in Brian's camp. Just to me, for me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I disagree from this aspect, that when I'm out in snow and I see people blowing by you and, Jeep Grand Cherokees and stuff, they're okay until they get to the stop sign or the stoplight. And then they basically, even in a few inches of snow, they've got problems. And we all know that the winter tires will stop better in wet and slushy and even snowy conditions. So I guess my feeling is if you have to go out and go to work, and a lot of people do, they don't have the luxury of staying home. You've got to get whatever, you're a hospital worker. Spend a little extra money, and get yourself a good set of winter tires. And I say that knowing well that, Tire Rack is one of our advertisers, but there's a lot of places you can get these, but you can certainly go to their site and sort them out and see prices. But I think that's a good idea.
A lot of those companies even have packages where they'll sell them to you on some cheap steel wheels, too.
And that's actually the way to go, so you don't have to be changing them all the time.
Yeah, and some local shops will even they'll swap your rubber out and store the rubber for you through the winter. Yeah.
All right, so our advice, if you got to go out, get some tires, and you don't necessarily need all-wheel drive.
Do it.
Rant and rave. Anybody got anything that's after Thanksgiving besides turkey that's sticking in their craw?
I've got one.
Okay.
Just from a lot of the holiday drivers, people who may not drive a ton, and especially when you're in an area that you don't know and you might be using Google Maps. If you make a mistake and miss a turn, or just go to the wrong turn, don't stop or back up. You are not the only person on the road, and if it costs you an extra 5 minutes, that's your penalty for making a mistake, and you'll learn next time. Don't miss that turn.
It's amazing. They stop in the middle of interstates. I
saw so many people this holiday weekend on highways, stopping, like backing up exits, or if they miss a turn, they'll just stop on the road without a blinker or anything, and just refuse to just make that mistake and go around for an extra couple minutes. So, just accept that you made a mistake. It's okay. You will survive, and you'll probably find your way back to the same road you were just on if you just go a little bit further.
Is it that we're so tuned out driving because of all the distractions in the cars or whatever that we just basically, when something doesn't go right, our brain just goes tilt and our natural reaction is to stop? I see it much more now than I've ever seen it before.
Also, equally annoying are the people that, they might have written directions like turn right on this road, and then you'll be following and they'll be slowing down almost to a stop at every road they come up to. Oh, that's not it. And they speed back up and slow down the next one. You follow those guys for a couple miles, that gets old real quick.
Hey,
too.
use Google Maps on your phone. At least I find it probably the most reliable thing you can do anyway.
Works for me.
All right, that's a good one. We're going to wrap up this edition of our MotorWeek podcast, number 152. I want to thank everybody around the table, as well as our audio engineer, Jim Bigwood, our podcast creator, Bob Mixter, and our podcast producer, Patrick Lucas, the guy with the bell. Hit it again. Thank you all for watching, listening, and being a part of the MotorWeek experience. For all of us here at MotorWeek, thank you very much for letting us into your car or your home, and we hope to see and hear you around our place next time. Thanks very much.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.